Sorry about that. I went to go use the restroom real quick. Let me. How you been, man? Here, let me move you to the other thing here. Okay, there you go. Cool. How you been?
I've been in the U.S. for the past couple months,
Oh
visiting
wow,
family.
cool, man.
Heading back to Lisbon next week.
Nice. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with the show, but we kind of do this the top three posts of the week, where we kind of do like a, how do you say, like a just like a rundown, the top three posts of Stacker.News, and then from there, we go into like some different segments. But it's up to you, totally. Whatever you want to do, John. If you want to stick around for the whole show, that's cool. Or we can just do like an interview in the first like 20, 30 minutes where we talk about the projects that you're working on and stuff like that. It's yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
I have seen the show in the past. I have not seen it recently, so I don't know the exact format. But yeah, however you want to do it, just let me know when the part where I may want to leave is beginning, so I
Yeah,
don't just sit here wondering if you're going to call on me.
yeah. So like, if you can tune into, we have it streaming on Twitter right now, and then we'll go live here as soon as Keyan gets back from the restroom, and then from there, I'll start the show. We'll do like there's like this little intro that I use here, so there'll be like a countdown, and then it'll kind of go from there. So.
All right.
Yeah, and then I usually go, hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Stacker.News Live, that kind of thing, and then we'll introduce you, because we're going to start with both of these screens on the thing here, so. But yeah. Let me go over here. Let me do some more prep here, because waiting for Keyan to get back. But yeah, it's been a crazy week, man. I'm so glad we don't
Yeah,
have to talk
Bitcoin
about
dumping.
that. There's just a lot of the stuff. None of it made the top three, so I'm like, thank God I don't want to talk about any of that stuff. It's just crazy times, man.
Yeah, I think next week should be interesting. We'll see how the fallout is.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's definitely a bear market, man. Um, it feels good though, just to be able to say I've been through like three of them. At this will be my third one, so it's kind of like, oh, it feels good in that sense. But yeah, it's just
It feels a lot better when it pumps, 10, 100x than when it pumps, only 50% more than the last time.
yeah, yeah.
How high did we get last time? What was
I
it?
think it was
Right?
like 70, right? Or 69 or
Yeah.
somewhere around there. And then this time we got to like 125 or whatever it was. So here's
So
Keyan.
as far as Bitcoiner history, a disappointing bull market. You
Yeah,
know.
definitely. Let me see if Keyan's. There he goes. Can you hear him? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. There you go.
I can hear John, I think.
Hey, hey,
What's up? How you doing?
long time no speak.
I know, right?
All right, Keyan. So what do you got for yours real quick so I can get, we can start the show here.
You can just put to do, and then maybe we don't have to keep John.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I can just start it. Basically, I'm doing money as language. That's the first one that we got, or that's the top one that we got. We need QR payments. That one, and then W2F Bitcoin. Is that what you got for the top three?
No, the other one is Saru's post.
Oh, is that number 3 or number 2 or?
That should be number 2.
Okay.
Number
cool.
3 is the QR, Columbia
Number
QRs.
2. Okay. Hang on 1 second, John. We'll get this started.
Are we having John the whole time?
I mean, it's up to him. He seems game for at least part of it, so we'll see.
I'm
We'll
still
see.
not clear what point.
He's like, I don't know.
I said to Kai, I said, just let me know if we reach a point in the show where I'm probably supposed to leave. That way I know if you're not going to call on me anymore.
No, dude. I want to try something different. You would be our first guest like this, so I want to start doing like people to come on and do the show, and then start using it kind of like that vehicle too as well. So we'll see how it goes.
I mean, as you guys know, I have an opinion on everything. So if you want me to give an opinion, just say, hey, John, what do you think? And I'll keep
For
going
sure.
until you stop me. So.
For sure. Let me see if I can find the case study. Which one was it, Keyan? What was the name of his? I saw it. It was like pleb dashboard or something.
It should be top in the top week. It's right there. Top post week.
Oh, Bitcoin repo, that one? Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha. Let me go here. So you said that one was 2, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. And then we need QRs 3, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so we are good. I'm gonna go ahead and start it now, John, and then we'll go into to the show. So let me go ahead and do that now. It might take like 30 seconds, but let me go ahead and punch this out. All right, close that, and then let's go over here. There it goes. Okay, John, we'll see you here in 30 seconds. Okay. Live from Pleb Lab in Austin, Texas, this is Stacker.News Live! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Stacker.News Live. My name is Carl with my BFF Keyan and John Carvalho. The man, the myth, the legend. John, how you been, man?
I've been very busy. Right? A very busy winter, both personally and professionally.
Love to hear it. How was your week? This is where we start off. We say, how was your week? I usually go to Keyan, but since you're the guest, how was your week, John?
Well, my week started in El Salvador. So there was a conference last weekend, and then there was a follow-up kind of Tether on-site thing that I stayed for as well. But now I'm back in Florida visiting family, and then I'm going back to Lisbon next weekend.
Nice. Keyan, how was your week?
It was good. I didn't go anywhere except my office, and then not my office. So, John, I don't have much of an exciting life, but it's I saw some of the stuff from Plan B. Yeah, but they didn't do live videos. Like I couldn't get access to full talks. Did they ever release those?
I know that for the Plan B in Lugano, they eventually released them afterward. And I'm sure they'll do the same thing with El Salvador. I don't recall. I didn't notice whether they were live streaming. If they were, it was only the main stage. And there was like 3 other stages and rooms that people were presenting in. And I think those will come out eventually as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Because I'm always sad when I miss these things and then there's not videos. But like I would love to watch your talk. I know there was a lot of really cool stuff discussed.
Yeah, the panel we did was fun. It was typically it's like, I'm going to be on a Bitcoin panel with Giacomo and, the typical, usual suspects, and you think it's going to be the same thing. But this one I thought it was going to be a generic topic, but they made it pretty interesting, so it wasn't too bad. And then my presentation was basically trying to get people to like debate me about some of my more triggering Bitcoin misconceptions that I like to harp about. And so I did like a 10-minute presentation and just let people ask me questions and challenge me. That was kind of fun too. Not quite as spicy as I thought it would be, but fun nonetheless.
Yeah, so let's start there, John. Give us the latest on because I see that you posted this week on Nostr versus PubKey, the basics, and that's a hell of a title. but just for the stackers, so the stackers that are listening at home, because me and Keyan don't have any dog in this fight. But what's going on here, and like explain kind of the idea around. I'm showing the PubKey website right now that has Big Bad John. But what is this, and kind of explain your kind of thesis around it and kind of like that.
Sure. So the reason for kind of, I guess, triggering Nostr users again is that during the Plan B conference, we opened up the PubKey app or the web app to everybody. We added a little gateway to prevent spammers because it comes with free hosting. And so we added that so anybody could get in now. Before, it was previously invite code only, and you basically had to ask somebody on our team to get in. We were pretty open about it, but it's a lot of friction. And so now is the first time that people can just walk into the site and look around very easily. And so the reason why I bring up what is the difference between Nostr and PubKey thing is because I'm a Bitcoiner. Everybody I know mostly is a Bitcoiner. And so right now, Bitcoiners, the only thing they're interested in as far as, saving the web and fixing the web or fixing identity, any of these topics is now attached to Nostr. And unfortunately, I think in a way that is like, they think they need to be toxic maximalists about, every protocol now, because that's how Bitcoin trained them. And so inevitably, I can't even say anything about PubKey on Nostr or to a Nostr user without them saying, well, Nostr's better because of this, PubKey's bad because of that. But all of their criticisms are extremely ignorant. They're not actually researching what our protocol is made out of, how it works. They're just assuming it's worse because it's not Nostr. It's like, everything is a shitcoin with Bitcoin. And they're applying the same methodology. And so I tried to update an article that I actually made, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, that was similar. It was AI generated, and I tried to make a better version of it this time, just because people are going to keep asking. So I know I need to have something to anchor to. I don't consider, you mentioned like a fight. I try not to look at it that way so much as I have no issue, triggering or trolling Nostr users that are extremely ignorant and rude and making no effort to do any sort of critical discourse. I'll give it back to them, no problem. But I think it's a lost cause to try to pretend that I'm going to take this entrenched, tribe and say, hey, throw your whole identity away and use my thing. I don't think that's the game to play. I think we have bigger fish to fry. I mean, we have, tens of millions of users on Blue Sky, more people using X and loving it than ever. No matter how much you want to complain about the algo, they're sucked right into it. So there's much bigger fish to fry on social. And in the end, that's not even our main goal. Our main goal is this whole atomic economy idea and bringing, user-first web and markets to reality.
Yeah, so explain that kind of atomic goal, because we talked about it before on other podcasts, but like just for the stackers that are listening, like, do you see like one protocol wins it all type of thing? Or are you kind of more thinking about like, no, we can all play in the same kind of Bitcoiner sandbox?
Well, I mean, in the end, certain people will not use multiple protocols for certain things, and they will for other things. And so the one true protocol thing, well, it's even incorrect with Bitcoin, right? Like since the invention of Bitcoin, we've had more protocols than ever, more monies than ever. The hyper-Bitcoinization idea is not really sound, right? And so, and even now, what are you on? We're on Stacker.News, we're on Nostr, we're on PubKey, we're on X, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. Like there's not one network, right? It's just sort of like a trend where people really want to go where they can connect with either solving the problems they're trying to solve or with the people they're trying to connect with or the ideas, data they're trying to connect with. And so the atomic economy is an idea. It's almost like a civic engineering project. It's trying to say, what is the lowest common denominator of how humans interact? And how do we map that digitally? How do we make sure people can figure out intentionally how to manage trust, intentionally how to choose which people they do or don't do business with, what is a mutual rule set for marketplaces, things like this. So we can take advantage of centralized things at scale when we need to, but we can fall back to peer-to-peer when that becomes, hostile. And that's why we have this concept of like a credible exit, which is everything we do in this whole ecosystem of stuff that we're building has to be able to revert to user control. So like with Lightning, you have to be able to enforce your own channel. With your PubKey key, even if your server censors you, you have to be able to just update your DNS record, which is actually a public key domain that we use, mainland DHT, and just change your server. And then you have perfect continuity. You don't lose your followers. You don't lose your history. Your data is yours. It's just that if you opt into, you can have somebody else host it for you. And so this is a much more practical, scalable approach to censorship resistance, decentralized web, et cetera. And so I see it as a strict improvement to an attempt like Nostr, but other people might see it differently because I'm trying to do something, Nostr is a subset of what we're trying to do. And so I'm trying to make sure we could, if we wanted to, we could do PubKey exactly how Nostr is. We could do like signing every message and using relays and yada, yada. But the problem is that the rest of the design makes that kind of obsolete and less unnecessary. And that's why those things aren't there, is because, in our opinion, we figured out more practical ways to solve these problems.
Do you want me?
Yeah, yeah. If you have any,
Yeah. I think this all sounds good. I think you can see people doing pub-key like things, at least topologically in Noster, where things are effectively pub-key. How I imagine pub-key is shaped, where there's really only a handful of relays people are using, but you have this credible exit, and that's kind of the basis on which people claim censorship resistance or data ownership. And so I see the similarities there, and why pretend that everyone's not using a few relays and get some UX improvements.
Why pretend and ignore how that could go wrong as well? It just doesn't. At scale, what will happen is it will look just. I think this is like a saying I have: is everything looks the same at scale. You know what I mean? Like if you zoom out far enough, it will just resemble, like, if Lightning were to take over the whole world and actually like overcome Visa, it would probably look just like Visa when it did. You know what I mean? It would be extremely trusted. They'd have credit. They'd have ways to, cancel transactions. It all look the same, because that's what it takes to get to scale. And what I've learned in recent years is, and what I'm trying to teach my peers, which has been very difficult, is that scaling, when it comes to digital stuff, it is trust. Like, what you're actually trying to do is figure out how to apply trust. And so we're more interested in, like, you may have noticed I'm kind of having a Lightning breakup moment for the past 2 years while still supporting it in our technology. And it's mostly just because I understand it a lot better. And I think, if the whole useful thing we're doing on Lightning is basically coordinating trust, why don't we just make a protocol that just coordinates trust? And so we're trying to basically demonstrate what happens if we distill down the actual use cases that are within all of this complexity and try to remove the stuff that's actually redundant.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's really cool. Another thing I was curious about is what's changed, I guess, from. I think you said you wrote. I saw something recently where you said you kind of redid everything, and I'm wondering, are there some bigger picture things that have changed, or is it mostly a sort of a refactoring or detail polishing type thing that happened?
Well, in regards to the PubKey versus Nostr article, I would just say it was very low effort originally. Like, I literally made a post in PubKey and said, "Hey, here's an AI generated comparison," and I didn't even review it. And this time I went in and kind of hand edited everything, and I actually used and AI is much more advanced now, and I actually used repos, you know what I mean, inside of Cursor, and this kind of thing, where it's it's much less likely to have slop in there, especially because I hand reviewed it. And I just was trying to balance between something that a normal, Bitcoiner or a normal Nostr user would read, and something that a more technical builder would expect to be like, "Whoa, this guy's making claims. What's he talking about?" And so I tried to bridge the gap. As far as what's changed about maybe the atomic economy vision or the PubKey protocol and stuff like this, well, you probably recall going back to when it was called /tags. That was a whole different iteration of attempting to do this. That probably resembled Nostr even more because it was more early stage. But what happened mainly was the difference between /tags and PubKey is just actually figuring out how to handle problems that we didn't figure out yet back then. Like, how are you actually going to have discovery? Oh, well, originally we were playing with hypercore and pen logs and this thing, and that was way too complex for the vision we had for how to fix things. And then we kind of figured out, hey, we can just do what we're trying to do in Hyperswarm DHT and mainline DHT, and we can get the benefit of tens of millions of nodes in a network that, it's literally the most decentralized network on the planet. I have found nobody that can argue that. It's the best example of a censorship-resistant, massively decentralized and distributed network. How do you compete with that when you say, "Oh, that's where I put my DNS records"? It's like, okay, and only my key can do it. You can't really compete with that as far as the narratives we're all trying to convey. And so that's the main difference, is having an actual root for a discovery method, and then the second aspect is, instead of making claims about Web of Trust and that being important to me, having a first iteration of that as well through this semantic social graph concept, which we also incorporate into the indexing aspect of PubKey.
Okay, I haven't heard about the semantic social graph part. That's pretty interesting. I'd love to look at that. I remember when I was researching Web of Trust initially, I think you spurred Kevin to tell me about it, and I reached out to you and I was like, hey, what are some examples of Web of Trust, and you helped me out. So I'm really curious about how that's evolved and how you're using it in practice. So I'll be interested to see more of that. So it sounds like you made some architectural simplifications and then made some like advancements or continued on your roadmap in other ways. That sounds pretty awesome. I think the other question I had was around BitKit. I think I'd seen you tease Marketplace. I think a big part of your vision is marketplaces with PubKey, and I'm curious how some of these pieces connect and when I can actually buy things on PubKey.
That, to me, when people can buy things on PubKey, that's version 1.0 of Synonym's vision. And so like when people say, oh, what are you going to do to get BitKit to compete with Wallet of Satoshi? I'm like, that's not why we made BitKit. Like, we started with BitKit in the hopes that we could ride like a momentum wave for Lightning, and then by the time we were done with the rest, we'd have some users of BitKit that we could introduce into what is now PubKey. And now the same thing with PubKey, that we have some people using the social features, so that we'll have some bootstrapping available for when we actually deliver the market features. And so with BitKit, we just released BitKit 2.0, which was a complete rewrite of the entire app. Formerly, it was React Native, shipped for both operating systems on mobile, but now it's native for both operating systems. 2 new apps. It took us a long time, a lot of work, but those were just launched. And so the next phases are, as you guys may have heard, vibe coding is a big deal right now. And
it's called agentic engineering now, John.
Guess what? I'm a developer now. And so instead of taking a vacation this winter, I spent 6 weeks in a rabbit hole, basically doing the R&D for the entire next phase of stuff. And so I made a noise library that implements snow noise for PubKey keys. I made PayKit, which maybe you guys may have heard me talk about in the past, or /pay as a former concept. And so this is basically a superficial payment protocol. So it's a payment protocol that's only for keys. And it has all of the use cases you would want for payment protocols, subscriptions, payment requests, etc., except that it's for any payment protocol. So it could be for legacy Bitcoin, Lightning, it could be for Liquid, it could be for Ethereum, it could be for PayPal. It doesn't matter. You just have to make a plugin that handles the requests for that payment method, and you just have to include that payment method within your endpoints. And applications can basically match whatever methods they have in common by order of preference in the background. So the user experience can be much like a unified checkout flow, where the checkout flow can actually be in the wallet. So you can have all the metadata, you can have all the invoice data, et cetera, and it's all handled on this payment protocol that is superficial to the actual settlement protocols. And so it kind of makes payments possible for peer-to-peer in an extensible way. And so the idea there is that I can't predict whether Lightning will still be here in 5 years, or whether Arc will be the next big thing, or Spark will be the next big thing, or eCash or Cashew, or all these things. We're inventing new protocols, and nobody cares that they're literally impossible to bootstrap, but we're going to keep throwing away the old one and making a new one. And so I think, okay, well, why don't we just do this on a superficial level, and so we can keep swapping out what's underneath. And so that's the idea with PayKit. And the reason I'm laying this foundation for you is that that's the middle requirement for the final step, which is what we call PubKey locks. And PubKey locks are going to be a way of using all of this encryption schemes within PayKit, within the noise keys, that are delegated from your ID key. So this way you can keep no matter what you do, you can always keep your main identity cold, but you can now have delegated sessions, delegated application keys, delegated private noise keys to accomplish all of your different use cases. And so the final stage of 1.0 of the atomic economy would be having the first few lock types capable. So a PubKey user can say, okay, you guys might recall when I did the podcast, The Biz, and I had the crowd walls. And
Yeah, I
so we'll
remember
have,
that, yeah.
that was a way too early taste of what I'm trying to do here. And so if you want, you'll be able to lock your post with a crowd wall. You can lock your post with a pay-per-view, with a membership, with a tag, with a password, all these different things that are going to be peer-to-peer. So the payments happen peer-to-peer, but the home server is trusted to deliver the data in the end. And so if you don't want to trust the home server in that aspect, if you don't need the scale, you could then host it yourself instead. So it allows fully peer-to-peer coordination, coordination of payment types, coordination of data, of URLs, of keys, of people, of all aspects of the e-commerce flow. And so then once we can lay that foundation, BitKit users will be able to pay things in PubKey applications, any PubKey application, not just the ones that we create, from any wallet that supports PayKit, not just our wallet. And so all of this is meant to be like fully open protocol solution for anybody. And so, yeah, that's the kind of rant of what the next stage is for us. I would say before the middle of the year, you should see that.
Okay, that's exciting.
Yeah, that sounds really cool, actually.
So one of the parts of the new rollout of BitKit are that you have made them native, you added PayKit, and then I guess some of these identity delegation to them. Is there anything else that changed in BitKit since the last iteration when I had the React Native version?
Smaller things. Obviously, now that it's native, it's going to be much snappier and fast. LDK node is still the node inside, and they've made a lot of updates over the past year as well. But we've mostly kept the old BitKit up to date with those. Now you can do wake to pay is the biggest thing. So a big reason for adding the native was to have better control over notification servers and capabilities there. And so now, for example, in Android, in any situation, if you have BitKit in the background and you get receiving a payment, it will receive it. So you don't have to worry about whether the app is open at the moment that the app is, you don't need the node to be live at that very moment. It's more restricted in iOS. This was a big disappointment for us because when we went to go finally use it in iOS, we realized there's a pretty low data size for what they'll allow to open in the background. And that data size is basically like a little bit smaller than LDK itself. And so there's just no way to actually wake the LDK node in the background. We have ideas about how to mitigate that, and we've already started some of those. So you do see some advantages from the notification server, but nothing like you would in Android yet. So that's the main thing. And we added Bitcoin maps to it as well. That's a new feature, and maybe a couple other small things like that.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I think I don't know. Does anyone else make this work on iOS yet? I don't know. I haven't.
No, I mean the closest I think. Well, I know that I haven't used Phoenix this intensively, but I know that they have splicing and they do swaps and such. They have all the most advanced Lightning features because they're basically the best at Lightning protocol stuff. But I don't know what. Obviously, they have the same limit, right? And so maybe they have a light version of the node. I haven't looked into how they achieve what they do or don't achieve because in the end we're limited. Like we can't mimic what they're doing unless we just fork their wallet and run their wallet. And so, yeah.
Yeah, they have like the most senior, most advanced Lightning wallet team.
Oh yeah, I respect those guys a lot. People say, "Oh, you're competing with Phoenix. How are you going to compete with Phoenix? You need to get splicing in there." I'm like, splicing is just like not happening in our stack. Like LND doesn't care, LDK cares, but it doesn't matter because our LSP node is LND, and LDK doesn't even have a production node for LSPs, and it's. People like to complain about their Lightning wallet, whether it's ours or Phoenix's or Zeus, or they like to complain when it goes wrong, but they don't realize that most of why they hate Lightning is Lightning. It's not, you know, like any one wallet's fault. It's that we're trying to string together like this extremely complex set of things that really don't match that great. And that's the trade-off, is the complexity is going to yield subpar UX when you compare it to, say, Wallet of Satoshi in, well, at least Wallet of Satoshi in, you know, trusted mode. Now they're playing with Spark, but that's a whole other conversation.
Right. John, I love it. I love what you're building. I want to hear more about this protocol thing when you finally get it going. I would love to see like how you could throw anything on there, what you were describing. That sounds really incredibly innovative. Never heard
Well,
of
if you're a dev and particularly enthusiastic, you know, I have forks and all in my Bitcoin error log account in GitHub. And so there's actually working forks of Noise, PayKit, installed in PubKey Ring, installed in BitKit. I got this all strung together vibe coding over the winter. And so I actually tested, you know, payment requests getting successfully delivered across the home server, stuff like this. So the proof of concept has been complete, which has revealed all of the questions we need to ask ourselves to do it properly. And so now we're going back and sewing everything up to do it properly. So I don't know how long it will take to clean up my mess, because obviously I'm not, you know, a trained engineer. I'm relying on the AI half the time. But so far, it's not as bad as I thought. So far, it's somewhat useful to the devs and definitely useful to discourse. So it's been a really interesting learning experience to be able to go from having my hands tied and having to hire people all the time to like express my ideas, to now I can do the whole hardest early stage stuff alone, and then I can come much more prepared to show my idea. You know, I can say, oh, I did all this. For example, a huge learning for me was it was just so complex. It was just so much work. I thought to myself, wow, like I thought these guys could do this without AI in maybe 3-4 months. But no way. Like after I had my hands in it, I was like, whoa, like I don't know how we would do this without AI. It's so much.
Yeah, it's almost like it's become like I was talking to Keyan about this week. Like you're kind of like an architect of what you're building now, and you have more of a managing kind of like a symphony of a sorts. It's a really cool place to be if you're somebody who has amazing different creative visions, and I know you're somebody that has always been that way since I've known him. So.
I really literally use choreography and coordinating orchestra today when talking to other people. It's very much the situation that AI is moving the work from the middle to the sandwich bread. You know, you have to focus on spec, on planning. You have to focus on review, on production. That's where you need all the eyeballs. The meat of it, you know, it's just responsible usage of AI, like making sure you have, you know, proper review processes before you show it. Like, there's no reason, like, for example, I am not a dev, but I have learned my own standard of, I would never submit a PR that I hadn't built and proven, you know, already worked myself, because I know I can do it now. I can just build it locally, and I can show my change. I can say, oh, looks like it works. Let me submit the PR. And before, that would have been impossible for me, especially.
On that note, I wanted to ask about, I just saw that you hired your 30th team member, and you were mentioning how this feels like it's kind of changing work in general and maybe your dependency on other people. How do you see the team evolving? Are you freezing hiring now at 30 because you're like, I can double our productivity or 10x our productivity of 30 people with the tools available, or how do you think about that at all?
I'm glad you asked, because it's something we're particularly proud of. We were keeping our finger on the pulse of AI from, I don't know, since a year ago. And we were constantly checking and annoying each other. We're trying to use it too early and trying to submit, you know, make things, you know, with shittier AIs. But sometime around, you know, Q3, Q4, everything flipped. You know, when you had Sonnet becoming actually great, and then Opus 4.5 being like, all right, this actually is like extremely powerful. And now we even got new updates this week. It just became very, very clear that this was important. And so we've been intentionally enriching the team, intentionally doing knowledge share calls about how the most enthusiastic and productive people in the team using AI are using it. And so we've always been doing this knowledge share and elevating the team to use AI since a year. And particularly accelerating in the past few months. We have internal calls, just AI calls. That's the whole topic is how are you using AI? Which AI are you using? What did you stop doing? This kind of thing. We have spreadsheets, what everybody is using, this kind of thing. We've actually started paying everybody's AI costs as well. And so part of our budget now, instead of being for recruiting, is for getting everybody on the team to have ultra plans. So it's serious business. And to answer your other aspect, yes. After you hire 5 people in 1 month, which is pretty much what we did when you factor in vacations and Christmas and everything like this, you just want to stop. It's like recruiting is a huge distraction, and we finally met our goal for the year 1 month late, albeit we met it. And you're just like, okay, we have to get these 5 guys acclimated. We have to keep on top of this AI thing. Now we're going to formalize how we do. Like, in other words, we're going to identify like what the middle is of AI productivity, who's below the middle, raise them to the middle. And so I'm trying to turn everybody in the team into a powerhouse. Well, internally, I'm saying I want everybody to be a monster. And so I want to be measuring an X. The least productive person in the team is 3x more productive than they were last year, and the most productive is 20x more productive than they were last year. And we want to close that gap and raise it higher and higher. And that is, in my opinion, affecting the job market. Because yes, I feel a lot more confident to stop hiring for a while. I feel like the only reasons I need to hire now are if somebody leaves or if we need to hire for like real scale. In other words, okay, we have 25,000 users in PubKey now, and that requires another DevOps, another QA, whatever. Like only needed for scale at this point, because I think we can keep amplifying the team we have, and I don't want to fire anybody. Like that sounds horrible to me. I want as much power as possible, so I'm just trying to figure out how to leverage my budget. So if I can get more leverage from getting my guys to use more AI, I'm going to do that instead of hiring more people, because the worst part of my job is managing the quantity of people. It totally distracts me from actually helping, from actually doing R&D myself. Like now that I know I can lever my ability as well, I don't want to be in calls. I don't want to be, dealing with whether to hire this person or whether this person should be fired. No, I want to have 30 guys on the team that I can rely on, that know what they're doing, that can be self-starting and independent and motivated and all excited about what's happening with AI. I don't need, to bring in a new guy, hope that he knows how to use AI, bring him into the team culture, and constantly do that every month. No. I want to build shit. I want to ship shit. And I don't need more than 30 people to do that at this stage, in my opinion.
Yeah, it almost seems like having 30 employees is like the equivalent of, if they have a bunch of agents and bots working for them, you probably have like over 200, 500 employees.
I mean,
like that, yeah.
When you start getting like systems in place, yes. I mean, like, because the most aggressive and enthusiastic guys on the team, they're not just trying to figure out how to like code faster. They're trying to figure out how to have an AI team of agents under them. They're trying to figure out how to, how many PRs can they merge per week, going from like maybe 20 to like 200. Like this is a massive change.
Yeah. Cool stuff. So we're going to jump into the top 3 stories right now, John. You can stick around if you want, or you can or you can bounce if you need to during the show, but we're going to go ahead and do it now. The number 3 top story this week is we need QR payments in Colombia. This is from Perperato in the BitDevs territory. 2,354 sats, 2,100K boost. Keyan, what's this?
Yeah, I guess Perperato was looking to build something like Square in Colombia. They saw all the Square stuff that was going on, and that they were, they had activated Bitcoin on the terminals or had an option to activate it there. And so they were like, how do I get this going? How do I get this in Colombia? Because I guess they're already adjusted to paying with QRs, as most of the world that isn't the United States is, or the Western world in general. So they were looking to build it, and they realized that it was a huge pain in the ass, and so they kind of didn't end up doing it, all the regulations and things like that, and the KYC and stuff. So they kind of put that on pause, but they did build a Lightning node as part of that process, and then saw Pleb QR and some of the activity on Pleb QR, which is this website, or I don't know if it's a movement, but I think they actually have technology, and it's perhaps even a business. But it's you go into a merchant in I think Thailand, I believe. You scan a QR code in Thailand, which is like a fiat QR code that most merchants have there, and uses a fiat banking system. And then you pay in Bitcoin, and then I guess that QR is then published to a bunch of takers who, or is it makers? I don't know how these market terms, but someone with a fiat bank account in Thailand can then pay that payment for you, and they get your Bitcoin for it. And so it's like kind of this. There have been a lot of these over the years in Bitcoin. I forget the name of a few of them, but a lot of on-chain stuff where you could submit something you wanted to buy on Amazon. I forget the name of that company, but Super was a big fan of it. And then you would pay in Bitcoin, and someone would pay in fiat or gift card for you. So kind of similar thing. He wants that going on in Colombia, so he was soliciting people to help him work on that.
Why not just use like a gift card or something? Is it because it's fiat? But I think most of those gift cards take fiat now, don't they?
I think let's say you're in Thailand you're in Thailand for like a week. Are you you got to go somewhere, you got to get a gift card, and then you got to figure out how you pay that gift card by scanning QR codes and.
John, have you ever ran into something like that before?
Well, I did used to work at BitRefill, and so I have a lot of experience with gift cards, at least. Yeah, the issue with gift card is like this is dedicated credit, right? And so it doesn't solve everything. The concept solves everything, but now you need a gift card for every different vendor. And then you say, oh, why don't you use a universal gift card? Well, we call that a credit card. And now you're just talking about the credit system. And so I could rant on how I think the credit system should work, but I'll spare you guys from that.
Do you guys have something similar to this? Like, do you see there being an easier way to solve this problem? I don't know if you heard what Keyan was explaining here, the situation this particular person had.
It was a little tricky for me to distill one problem from it, but it sounds like they need some combination of either, a protocol they can rely on. So something like PayKit could be interesting if everybody was already using it, which is not true, or something like along the lines of like ZapRight or Flash. Like they have this kind of payment gateway services. OpenNode, maybe even. I know they were doing some stuff in El Salvador at one point, but it sounds like what they need is either merchants. They don't want to deal with all of our new payment protocols and et cetera. They just want something that works. And so they mostly want payment processors. So if he wants to solve something, he should just start a company that does it for them. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is an actual payment processor gateway. We handle the Bitcoin, we handle Lightning, we handle the latest whatever, Spark, whatever. And then the vendor chooses what they get. This is what BitPay does. I think Coinbase had a service like this at one point. Bitfinex had a service like this at one point. It's tricky to get off the ground, but a few survivors remain. And so it might be one angle for him.
Yeah. Cool. We'll jump into the next top story here. The number 2 top story this week is Meet Orange Dev Trader, Bitcoin Repo Deep Dive. This is from Soru. Oh, wow. This one's from Soru. 11 comments, 4,965 sats. Keyan, is this the orange dashboard one that he was building?
Yeah. So I think he published the first version of this, I think like a year ago or so. He links to it in the post, but he's updated it now that he has all these agentic coding tools. He's been able to go farther with it and did more with it. So he used those tools and extended it. And so now we have a pretty great dashboard, much better than you'll find on GitHub itself for contributions to core. And you can see a lot of like activity over time. There are some in the stats here. So over the years, we've had 1,200 unique contributors to Bitcoin. And I was surprised that there's only 500,000 lines of code. That's pretty lean, actually. Lots of commits. You can see some of the trends on like the areas where we're committing a lot. Like in 2015, there was we started growing our test commits quite a bit. That was like one of the biggest areas. that ended up growing over the years. And then most of the activity is still there, in addition to some of the core libs, and the build ops have been updated quite a bit. What were some of the other things that I liked in here? 74% of the code is C++, 18% is Python, and then I guess the stat that I find maybe concerning or interesting is that weekend coding. Most of the commits on Bitcoin Core were 40% of the commits on Bitcoin Core were done over the weekend in the past, and more recently, it's now at 8%, which suggests that people aren't contributing to Core for fun much anymore, which is kind of sad.
Is that what you're taking from it, or is that because what are they doing during the week? I guess that would be my question.
Oh,
well, you need a little more info because it could be that just a higher percentage of them are paid now, and so they're getting their work done during the week because they're paid to do it. You'd have to dig in deeper, but I would be concerned about either way of that, because if most of them are paid, that means most of them are now biased to their funders. So either way, it's not the best thing.
Yeah, it's just it's almost like it's just a heuristic that is used for developer interest. It's what are they doing on the weekends, and if they're not contributing to Core, yeah. But what it means exactly, I don't know. But it is. I think we're 80% of.
It felt better when it was an environment of guys coding on the weekend, though, didn't it?
Yeah. There was
John, let me ask you this, because you've been around for a really long time in this kind of, and to see where everything has gone here, and we don't have to get polarized or anything unless you want to, but how do you see it? How do you see the whole Bitcoin Core kind of evolution over the course of the past decade, or since you've seen it, and then to where it is now, and then now seeing these stats, what's your kind of take on
I could honestly paint it from any direction. I could paint it for you how some aspects have become so much better. Some aspects of how I interact with it are definitely a lot better. I actually got a BIP in there a year ago, and I never thought I would have been my interactions with Core before that. I thought these guys will never accept anything from me. This is just the ivory tower, for real. But I over time you end up kind of meeting a few guys and ended up, not hating each other. And some of the guys I met happened to be eventually turned into BIP reviewers. And so I've known Merch for a while. I've known John Attic a little bit. I've known Brian Bishop a bit. And so it kind of made it oh, this guy, when I came to them with a BIP, they're okay, he's serious, it's not just John trolling or something. And so now that's opened up a whole world for me. I have probably 4 or 5 different BIPs that I'm working on that I would like to submit, and increasing technical, amount. Whereas before it was just purely aesthetic BIP. So that has changed and made me feel more positive about things from my own, interaction. But at the same time, just before that, I went through the whole mempool full RBF war almost alone. It was me and Sergey and one other guy trying to fight that war. And that was a real gaslighting experience for me, and another big depression point for me about the state of Core. But of course I have my biases there. You know what I mean? Other people still think I'm crazy for that. I think I have a totally rational argument for my behavior. And I think that in the end, now Bitcoin is less useful because of that change. And people use it for payments less because of that change. Whether that was always destined, maybe. But then I will say I don't subscribe to how the Nazis are treating people like Gloria and trying to turn everything into a conspiracy. Albeit conspiracy theorists have a great track record in recent years, I don't think that Bitcoiners are as good at things as they think they are. Everybody wants to be the white blood cell, and I don't know, we haven't needed that since since Roger Ver. Honestly, ever since then, it's been fake mimicry of pretending something is important when it really isn't. And I think that that's the current drama is a big nothing burger, and it's been only a loss. You know what I mean? It's been a loss of reputation, fragmentation of Bitcoin culture, corruption of Bitcoin culture, of Bitcoin education. And so while I don't have a strong stance on specifically what Gloria was working on, like with package relay and all this stuff, I do think that there was a regime of core that didn't feel like the culture it used to feel. And so I'm a little bit excited, honestly, to see what fills that void. Hopefully it's not something worse. But I don't know too much about the circumstances of her leaving and this kind of thing. But there's definitely a clique aspect to core where you can be on the outside, and if you don't fit in and stay in the party line, your stuff will be less likely to get reviewed. Your suggestions will be less likely to be considered. And I've been told this by multiple core developers in private. And so the culture definitely has degraded since the former elders have stepped down or stepped back. So I think that, yeah, overall I liked it better when it was just Vlad, Peter Worley, all the classics, kind of running the show. And then it's just become less and less since then. And so I hope more pragmatic leaders step up, less controversial leaders, more. I think that I would like to see, and sorry for the rant, guys.
No, this is great. This is great.
I would like to see a culture shift in core of extreme caution and responsibility. In other words, admitting that core has more power than it probably should, and more trust than it probably should, and thus treating something like a soft fork as extremely oppressive. In other words, if we're going to do this, we have to recognize that it's just us and the miners doing this. And we have to justify that, because 99% of Bitcoiners will either not be aware of it or think they're aware, but really be very ignorant and have dumb takes on it. And so you have to be like, okay, like we have too much power here. We have to be very responsible. We shouldn't be shoving in Taproot, because nobody actually cared about Taproot. Not because it's good or bad or there aren't good arguments, but there just wasn't an actual consensus whatsoever. And so this idea of rough consensus, of building consensus, I want to see maintainers that don't believe in that. I want to see maintainers that are like, guys, we shouldn't touch this shit unless there's something broken, or we're making it cheaper for people to use or faster for people to use. If we're adding complexity, go somewhere else. It should be like taboo to add complexity, to add soft works. A lot of people would disagree with me, but I think that you need that Overton window shift at the very least.
So if the solution is better leadership, how do we get better leaders? Or and if that isn't possible, is there another solution?
I don't know. If I knew, I would, try to. It might be what I'd be doing instead of synonym. I don't know. I have been joking lately that if for some reason we either finish what I'm doing here and I want to move on to the next thing, or we give up for some reason eventually, that I would, if I still care enough, that I would be very interested in having like a Bitcoin, project where what we were doing was either funding or designing a distribution of core or even another implementation. I'm a big fan of Eric Voskuil, as you guys might know, and he works on the LibBitcoin project, and I have a lot of hope in that. But his approach is very, very biased to his views, and it's not so much for like end user wallets, this kind of thing. So you can expect that implementation will be very impressive, but they might not take the time to make it useful for the normies and this kind of thing, because he doesn't like to humor bullshit. And so in the end, it's taken them years to get there. They're only creeping in funding each year, and it's just they get blacklisted or talked bad about by core, this kind of thing. So I think you need more competition across implementations, and that creates more of a stalemate, right? Because now you're going to be scared to introduce a soft fork because you're only 50% of the network, and that's the kind of environment I'm looking for. How do you get those leaders? Honestly, you just need people to be less stupid. Like, I don't know how you do that, but you have people right now worshiping Sailor. Most of the people injected into Bitcoin over the past 2 years have been basically the equivalent of Ponzi victims. And so how is that going to help bolster better Bitcoin core devs? It's not, and now you have Sailor talking about he's going to get involved in the quantum topic and he's going to contribute. It's like, you know what I mean? Sometimes I just I really feel like, man, do I even belong here anymore? Do I even want to help these people anymore? Because it's like you miss, you know what it looked like when it was healthy or healthier. You know what it looked like when people cared about black market money and, drugs and paying for hookers. Even though that was an extreme joke, I don't care about hookers. I don't care about buying drugs. I just know that if nobody's using Bitcoin for those things, it's not actually valuable, because we can use anything to speculate. I can speculate on bananas if I want to. That's not interesting. Pick anything that's limited in quantity and speculate on it. That's not the interesting part. Sorry for the rant.
No, that's cool. Yeah, that is a hard problem. I think I heard it discussed Bitcoin. I think some of the core people were looking for project managers at one point, or product managers, and that might be.
Yeah, I remember that's something that Pavlinex would be interested in and get involved in, but he's doing Stratum stuff and probably still BTC pay server stuff. But yeah, that's the thing is, I would only be interested in doing something like that if I was hard up. You know what I mean? If I was like, okay, I need an income and somebody's all willing to pay me to be a Bitcoin Core project manager, then I would look at it. But until then, it sounds like hell, man. Nobody on Core agrees on, people think that you can coordinate things in Core, but the amount of agreement there is actually very small. Even within, the venerated Core devs, it's not very consistent. So how do you it's like herding cats, you know what I mean? That can't be a fun job.
Yeah, someone has to want to be. It's. I think it's just become so political. Someone has to want to be a political figure. Someone has to want to be the president.
You need
of the
a
United
Linus
States.
Torvalds kind of guy to go in there and just be like, get your fucking garbage out of the code, get your fucking attitude, your stupid attitudes out of my issues. You need somebody that's that staunch about things. I don't see how anybody's gonna let somebody with that kind of attitude gain power, though.
Yeah, and I don't think Linus would take up his job had he not grown into it without choosing it. So yeah,
it'll be interesting to watch. I'll be sticking around. I'm sure a lot of us will still be sticking around watching it. I feel like Bitcoin is just so important, and it's just like this. It's a lot of things to a lot of people, but it's worth fighting for. It's actually worth giving a shit about, in my opinion. And I don't see the real ones leaving anytime soon.
Yeah, the part that sucks is now we have to try to separate that from the Ponzi side of Bitcoin. What is the underlying health, the underlying heartbeat of Bitcoin when you scrape off Michael Saylor and you scrape off, all of the funds and the VCs? Are we still healthy? It's hard to tell now. It was a lot easier to tell in the past.
Yeah, we'll see. The number one top story this week is money is a language. This is from Scoresby. 58 comments, 512 boost, 13,000 sats. Keyan, what's Scoresby talking about this week?
Yeah, Scoresby is still going through Voskuil's crypto economics, and this one tackles, I think, Voskuil's thoughts on the regression theorem, or Mises' regression theorem. But he argues in here that money is effectively a language but with scarcity. And because they both suffer from this regression problem. So Mises argues that money has value today because it had value yesterday, and it had value yesterday because it had value the day before. And then I think it was Rothbard who challenged Mises on that and was like, well, that means that there's some day one or some day zero where it wasn't money, and what was there. And Mises said that it had value, it had utility value. And then it turned into money, and so that's the regression theorem. And so we have a similar problem. Scoresby lays it out here, but we have a similar problem with language, where a word may have meaning today, and it has meaning today because it had meaning yesterday. And then that means there's some day one where something became a word, where the sound became a word, and so that means that the day before it, you had a sound that had inherent meaning, and it didn't it had utility before it was actually formalized as a word in the same way that we formalize money. Anyway, so there's something similar between money and language in terms of this regression theorem, and there are a few other comparisons that Scoresby makes, and argues this, but he's trying to get at the fact that, like language, it maybe doesn't make sense to trace it all the way back to the beginning. Like we aren't making sense. Like a lot of our words aren't even said anymore. They're all kind of written, or we're sending them digitally. There's like all kinds of encodings, and perhaps they don't need this grounding all the way back to something kind of primitive. And perhaps we're kind of beyond that. And he borrows from Umberto Eco, who says that the only difference between money and language is that words aren't scarce. And so you can I don't know if that's true. I haven't looked. I think you would have to I would probably need a much larger argument for that. But it's plausible. It sounds roughly correct. But and so Scoresby concludes that it's really the scarcity, and he points to some other stuff, because other people would argue that Bitcoin did have inherent value earlier, but it was more like collectible value or curiosity value. And I think I've heard other people argue that it's actually the block space that was valuable, and that's maybe if we're subscribed to Mises's thoughts, then maybe that was the initial utility value, the initial utility. Anyway, all of this is to assist in unpack Voskuhl, who is like super compressed. And Voskuhl argues that money, Mises doesn't go far enough with the regression. It assumes, it doesn't explain how something gets utility or is valued for its utility. Someone makes an assumption. Before that happens, someone makes an assumption about the utility of something, and that's what gives it value. And therefore, you could assume the utility value of anything as money, and turn anything into money. And therefore, there's no non-money and money that could be distinguished using Mises's reasoning. Anyway, that's all. That's a lot to say these things, but it's an interesting way to look at.
Yeah, I guess for me, I've always just looked at money more like a tool, but that same tool can also be used as a weapon, and even language, you could say it can be used as a weapon, which therefore is a tool. So it's kind of one of those. That's how I kind of see it in my head, but would love to hear John's thoughts.
Don't you guys feel like kind of silly sometimes talking about money, like, and what money is, like, or listening to podcasts about it, where it's like, this guy says that money is this checkbox, then this checkbox. This guy says it's not this checkbox at all, but the other two. This guy says you have to do it reversed. Like, I feel like it's almost like talking about religions, like which religion got it right. I think the real lesson here, like, I love that you wrapped it up with Eric Voskuhl's kind of compressed, thing. The lesson here is that nothing is money, right? Money it's just a use case. It's just how you use something. There's no inherent value. There's just value is subjective. That's it. And then, so you take value as subjective, you take a concept of, say, consensus, or you could even be redundant, say mutual consensus, value that we agree on. And now you just choose a medium, and that's the money. You know what I mean? Like, there's no like, oh, it must be a store of value. It must have, intrinsic value. It must be a medium of exchange. It must be a unit of account. This is all total bullshit. Like, there is not some like level of a game that Bitcoin is playing where you have now achieved monetary, medium of exchange. Congratulations. The next stage is, unit of account. This should happen by, the next 10 to 20 years, or you have failed. It's all bullshit, man. Like, it's just, value is subjective. The value only lives in one place, your head. It's not inside of the Bitcoins. It's not inside of the bananas. The value is in your head, and other people who agree with what's in your head will do business with you on the same terms, and they'll use anything as money. You have people using, bottles of Tide in the ghetto. You have people using sardine cans in the prisons. You have people, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. And you can say scarcity. Well, scarcity is relative too, right? Like, you can go just back to basic physics. There's resources are limited, proximity is an advantage. Like these are just like basic physics problems. And so you just take all these concepts and you say, oh, that's what we're doing. You don't have to like make a checklist of what money is and argue with other people about it. I guess that's what I'm doing, but it just feels silly to me. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, money is this, and Rothbard was wrong, and it's like, what the fuck?
But John,
philosophy.
But John, this is the great thing about being a Bitcoiner, where we just get to have these philosophical money arguments all the time. Yeah. Like this is the stuff. This is stuff I dig.
13 years in, you know, like it was fun for the first 7, and now it's just like, come on, guys.
But no, this is good stuff. We got to educate the stackers. Yeah, what do you think?
So I was just so what makes a money better than another money is that more people.
Is that the person you're doing business with will accept it?
They're more likely to accept it than other things. Is that what makes it a better?
Not
money?
Even that, just that they will. You know what I mean? Like it's just a preference. You even have a money preference. You know, you could say like I was talking about Paykit earlier. Imagine like I supported legacy Bitcoin, Taproot Bitcoin, and Lightning, and you supported Ethereum, Tron, and Lightning.
Wait, you flip that?
But we match on Lightning, right? That's all that matters. The rest is irrelevant. It's just like that just means you can do business with people that I can't do business with, and so can I. That's all it means. Like it doesn't make Bitcoin special. It doesn't mean that Lightning won. It just means that between you and I, we agreed on how to do business. That's all it means.
Yeah. So you would never say something like one money is better than another money.
Well, I could say that subjectively. I couldn't say it objectively, right? Because is Bitcoin better to somebody that doesn't have Bitcoin and can't afford a Bitcoin transaction? No. Is Bitcoin better to somebody who needs to accomplish something and totally settled within the next 20 seconds? No. Like they're going to choose something different. Like it's totally dynamic, totally subjective.
Let me ask you a subjective question. Do you think Bitcoin is losing its value right now because of the reapplication with all the BlackRock and stuff like that?
Oh, I definitely think there's paper Bitcoin out there. I don't think all of the people have all the Bitcoins. I think that the market is too tightly connected to the legacy market. So you don't see a discrepancy in price really. In other words, you don't see a street price of Bitcoin. When you start to see that, then things will be much clearer that, okay, there's just too much paper Bitcoin. But for now, I really honestly think that Saylor and his people that behaved like Saylor, they stole the bull market from us. I sincerely believe that. All of the interest and liquidity that came to Bitcoin in the past 2 years, most of it went into these paper Bitcoins. And if even 10% of them don't exist, that's a major blow to the actual price. That's a major, and remember, you don't even need there to be like fake Bitcoins. You could just remember the design of how Master works. What he does is he gets a loan, so he like leverages his company and the equity and the Bitcoin that they have to buy more Bitcoin, and then he dilutes the current shareholders by printing more shares, and then he sells his personal Master shares instead of selling Bitcoin, and so he's just cycling the liquidity and absorbing it the whole time. And so how can Bitcoin go to 300K if Michael Saylor's selling all his shares and absorbing all the liquidity, and all the shareholders are getting diluted the more Bitcoin that they expose themselves to? At some point, he won't be able to get loans anymore, and then nobody will want. Then the price will freeze, because there's not more Bitcoin promises. At some point, the government may give special taxes for these types of constructions, and then people will flee, to the exits. It definitely affects Bitcoin's health, Bitcoin's price, and Bitcoin's utility, because what makes Bitcoin actually valuable is that it's uncensorable. What makes it uncensorable is that it has hash power, that it's actually something you can hold yourself, etc. So if you aren't using Bitcoin for its actual properties that make it unique, if that's not why you value it, then you're just using it as a vessel for speculation, which is not unique to Bitcoin, right? Anybody can speculate on anything. Even though you can say it's rare, well, there's also Bitcoin Cash, and there's also Ethereum, and you could I don't know if he's got to it yet, Scoresby, in his Voskuil stuff, but Voskuil is gonna at some point hit him over the head with he doesn't call it this, I call it this, his many Bitcoins theory, which is the way that Bitcoin scales is just more blockchains. That's the only way you can scale it. And so the vision you have to extrapolate would be, the way that Bitcoin matures over time is there's Bitcoin number one, which is the most secure and the most expensive to use. There's Bitcoin number two. And you could even think of it like class systems. It's a ladder. The poor people use the least expensive Bitcoin. The rich people use the most expensive Bitcoin. People already have these narratives, right? They say only banks would afford Bitcoin transactions. We need banks to scale. I hate that vision. And so I honestly find the many Bitcoins theory more palatable.
Do you
than
think
that.
so John, so a lot of 2017 and 2016 when I was getting into Bitcoin, we had like the Mex Kaisers and people like that were saying like, yeah, let them rehypothecate Bitcoin, let them do paper Bitcoin. We're going to fork on them. Do you remember those talks? And like, how do you think that's going to play out in the future? Especially with this kind of like mini Bitcoin theory that Svol is like has in his book.
Well, I'm not somebody that's going to listen to those people. Yeah, I think Vosko could be. Let's put it this way: Vosko is just describing what already happened, right? Like I said in the beginning of the show, we have more monies than ever. Like Bitcoin's invention didn't show us any evidence of hyper-Bitcoinization. It showed us the opposite, that there would be many, many blockchains. We thought they would all disappear, yet here we are with the blue chip blockchains still going through 3-4 cycles with us. So there's some staying power there. We thought that decentralization would kill them, either through mining attacks or through government. That didn't happen either. So maybe the blockchain design is even better than we thought. We don't really know. And so I'm not trying to advocate for using other Bitcoins or shitcoins. I'm just trying to say, look, it already happened. Like it played out exactly. Eric Vosko is describing. He's not predicting. You know what I mean? And so It's the Bitcoiners that are predicting. They're saying one day they have all these fantasies about why these things shouldn't exist and predicting that those fantasies will come true. But this is a prediction, right? None of us can ensure that. So yeah, I think that's interesting. I have my own theory which ties to credit and how I think credit should work. I think that actually at scale, like the only thing that scales is trust, right? And so I think at scale, the only thing that scales is credit. And so when people talk about like people using one thing, it shouldn't be Bitcoin or gold or dollars. It should be one protocol for coordinating credit. And that's, hinting at where I think things would go if we all behave ourselves and think responsibly and think critically. Probably we won't do that. So
That's interesting. In Star Wars, they have credit system too. We were just talking about that the past few weeks. Like, how do these futures evolve in like sci-fi? But
we're talking about it. One theory of money, commodity money, is like the Austrian point of view, and then there's a credit theory of money, is I think the other competing point of view in like trad econ stuff circles. What was I going to say? Have you laid out your thoughts on credit anywhere yet, or have you shared your vision for that?
So I have an entire specification. We've been working with a couple core devs in private in the background for a peer-to-peer credit system. The spec is pretty much done. I have also now vibe coded some, proof of concepts for it, an Android app, a web playground demonstrating how routing and such would work. And so that is an active project. It's not one that we've released publicly yet. So definitely this year we'll share at least the specs in the paper. I don't know when we'll actually try to start building it or putting it in our ecosystem because it's highly speculative. To think that first I can get people to use Bitcoin, to use Lightning, to use PubKey, to use locks, to now use a credit system on top of all of this. I've got to prove the rest first. And so we're not going to be building out, it's called atomicity. We're not going to be building that out in the short term, but we are prepared to build it out. The specifications exist, the design exists. In my opinion, it is elegant and cool and sound, and not like anything that already exists. So I'm excited about it, but we're deciding how and whether and when to play it, because I could come out and say, oh, this is the next Bitcoin scaling layer and make it all Bitcoin centric, and this is how we actually coordinate payments at scale, blah, 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 blah. I could do it that angle, or I could do it as, this is a solution for everybody. This is how to bring credit to, the world. There's a lot of angles to take, but I'm kind of trying to decide that right now. We're in the middle of road mapping for the year and, doing our budget request for the year. So I'm deciding how deep I want to go on that. But it is a solved design problem. at least.
Okay, it's like the final stage, and you're not sure what it'll come after most things, and then also you're not sure how you want to present it and like package it to people because it.
Yeah, like do you just make an app that just does this, or do you put it inside of PubKey, or do you put it inside of BitKit? And we have to figure out the user experience. Like, what is the best way to embed this to not like beat people over the head with complexity, this kind of thing, because it relies on the web of trust aspects as well. You guys, if you've heard me talk in the past year about trust and how it interacts with scale at all, what you may have heard me at least say is the most basic thing we distilled is you need trust to scale. And in order to express trust, you need to at least express who you trust, with what, for how long. And the with what would include how much. So, for example, would be I trust Carr with $20 of Bitcoin until he wrongs me, or until the end of February, or until he pays me back this other thing. And so you have this way of having conditions and expressing credit to specific keys, and also a way of routing it. The routing's pretty cool. It's like a step routing, covenant step routing method. So there's not actual routing across the path. There's just repeated steps in the path. And this makes it easier to establish privacy, easier to deal with like the fact that this is all trusted and that anybody could disappear at any moment. And so there's a lot of cool stuff that we addressed and how to approach the problem. And it is fully compatible with PayKit as well. So the idea is that a proof in atomicity serves as a valid payment request in PayKit. So when you want to like call in a debt, you already have a signed proof that PayKit would accept that will automatically pay out, based off of whatever payment methods you both support. Anyway, it's a lot to kind of weave together. It took years to kind of make it all one elegant thing. And so we're just trying to ship it in the most sensible order possible.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that like maybe a year or two ago when we were last chat, and it seems a little bit more fleshed out now than what I remember it being. So
remember, I've been wanting to do credit since before Cinnamon.
Yeah,
the idea started.
Yeah.
I'm the one who like invented the idea of tokens on Lightning and supported any amount of like. We were supporting the OmniBolt guys. We tried to do Omni. We did the first Lightning transaction of Tether by using OmniBolt back before Taproot Assets was even announced. It was even an idea. We supported RGB. I was part of that project for a while, got that funded for a while. I've always believed that credit was a missing piece here because that's what I learned when I worked at Bitrefill. It's like, this is like, if there's Bitcoin and there's Bitrefill, and that's like a huge chunk of what's interesting to me about Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Exchanges, yeah, we all use them and need them and such, but like as far as the use cases, like I got an intimate like view of like, oh wow, this is how people use dedicated credit in all these creative ways to overcome either oppressive or stupid boundaries in the world. And so Bitrefill was doing a lot that Bitcoin claims to do. And now Tether has also filled that gap as well, right? Like people are using Tether to break down borders and things like this. So credit is obviously part of the picture,
Yeah, it would be interesting, like to see like what a Bitcoin, like on the first layer, then be able to have a credit system amongst like a group of friends or something, and then that would be very interesting.
Well, what you want in the system is to have any definition of debt or credit mutual. So in other words, it's not a Bitcoin thing at all. It's just a we agree thing. And so you could say, I owe you $20, and you could say, well, I want you to owe me in USDT. And I go, okay, fine, I owe you $20 of USDT. You know what I mean? And that's how it is. And if that's not what you want, then you won't agree with me. You know what I mean? We won't have the relationship. So whether it's Bitcoin isn't what's important. It's whether or not we trust each other. What are the terms? How are we coordinating everything? Because in my opinion, that's all we're doing in Lightning is we're just coordinating the trust, and all the other complexity, like to try to like enforce something, is bullshit. Because once you get a few million people in layer 2, everything falls apart with regular usage. I don't even think I've been trying to like figure out math-wise how many people active users Bitcoin could support. I don't think Bitcoin could support even 10 million active users. Like you really would have to like compress things. And once you compress things into layers, you have all these enforcement problems and cascade problems. The whole thing just doesn't scale, which is another reason why you have to start looking at the many Bitcoins theory. It's like, wait a minute. If I can only fit 10 million per blockchain using Bitcoin's block size and block time parameters, there's only so many people you can fit in a blockchain, no matter how you rearrange the numbers.
We're gonna make it work past 10 million, John. It's okay. We got this.
I don't think you can. I really don't think you can. You know,
we'll
more than
figure
10
it
million
out.
people can have Bitcoin exposure for sure. They already do, right? But it's all in exchanges. It's all in Michael Saylor's hands, et cetera. So it seems like Bitcoin is serving, tens of millions of people. But when you look on chain, you count the transactions, you think, oh no, that's not the case.
So we're going to jump into, that's all the top 3 stories this week on Stacker.News Live. Stackers, we're going to
Maybe we should let John go, too. This is where the show kind of falls off the rails. Anyway.
I mean,
all right. I'll take my cue. Thank you so much, Keyan. Great to see you again. Thank you, Bar. I appreciate it very much. To anybody listening, please check out synonym.to if you want to learn about the company and the vision. Bitcoin Error Log is my handle on X if you want to get trolled by me.
On Stacker.News too.
Yes, on Stacker.News as well. I think I was the first or second user.
I think you were the first person, the first real human being, I think so.
Yeah, so I'm a Stacker legend, But also check out bitkit.to for the BitKit wallet app and pubkey.app if you want to try the social app we were talking about. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, John. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Cool. Wow. Keyan, what'd you think?
Oh, I thought it was great. John has so many ideas, and they're quite divergent from like what I'll hear elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so I like that. It's
refreshing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one of my favorite things about John is like I can put up my own takes on stuff, and it just doesn't matter. He's gonna have his own take, and we still have beer over it. That's what we need more of in Bitcoin. We need more fresh ideas, outside the box thinking, and just being able to like maintain friendships even though you disagree. So that's why I like John.
That does seem to be pretty hard in Bitcoin right now, but
especially right now.
But I think we have a lot of people discussing Bitcoin that don't really care to understand it. I think one of the bigger problems.
Yeah. So with that, let's jump into the rest of the stories this week. We got Womble's Picks. I don't know what that's leading to. Where did that go? Let me see. Hang on a second.
It should go to YouTube. So you might be on a VPN maybe.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. I probably just didn't load it wrong. Let me find it. Do you want to tell people what Wumble picked this week?
Yeah. So the Slate truck, I guess, was on Jay Leno's garage. The Slate truck is an economy e-vehicle.
It takes a lot of thinking to be able to sell a car.
Let me mute this. Go for it.
Yeah. So Jay Leno, car guy who wears denim, used to do a late night talk show. He has this car show and the Slate truck guy. I don't know if there was like a big push on this or it got
I remember I posted about this like a year ago.
It was a year, maybe 6 months ago. They started teasing it, but it's like this very affordable electronic vehicle that's made in the United States and is made to
be one of Amazon's investments, I think, or maybe Jeff Bezos.
I think
one of those.
Jeff Bezos invested in it. The CEO is an ex-Tesla person. I imagine the whole team is ex-Tesla, but apparently it's in the prototype stage, and that's what he brought to Jay Leno's garage, and Jay drives it. You notice that he complements a lot of the thinking and like theories about the labor markets and stuff like that, but he doesn't exactly compliment the drivability or anything of the car. So I'd guess it drives
relatively okay.
It drives nicely, but it's
a Toyota Camry maybe.
Yeah, but Jay Leno, the guy who's driving probably typically like a $2 million car most of the time or whatever. It doesn't have. It's not going to impress him, but I imagine for plebs, this is a great vehicle, given that you can turn it into, it has enough mount points and stuff. You can turn it into like a Mad Max type, like, who's that guy who made that, like, the dozer thing?
Oh, the kill dozer?
Kill dozer. You can probably turn it into a small
Don't give people ideas.
Pleb kill dozer. Not for killing, maybe like a protect dozer. But it's cool. Like it has all these things. I don't know. You can look it up, but it's
I remember it's very modular, and it even comes down to the modularity. Even comes down to the dashboard and like what you want. A lot of things are optional, but I think like the base price is somewhere around $10,000 if I remember correctly.
Oh no, 25.
25. Oh, okay, so it's gone up than what I remember. But yeah, it just depends on what kind of configuration you got.
Well, they stripped away everything, so it doesn't have a stereo. It does have air conditioning, but it doesn't have a stereo. They just assume you're going to use your phone.
It's gas too, right?
No, it has a battery.
Electric? It's electric. Okay.
Yeah, I wish it were hybrid at least, because that would stop me. I don't like depending on infrastructure that's kind of young.
Yeah.
Like the charging networks and.
Yeah. Maybe you can just like hack the crap out of this thing. That's what I would want to do. Just like throw a Clawbot on it, you know.
Have Clawbot drive it for you.
Have Clawbot just start designing other cool things you can do with it. That'd be pretty sick. It's pretty fascinating. He had a question. Let me go back here and find it. Where the question was. There he goes. The question that Wumble had was: do you think American consumers really want a low-cost vehicle, or is the car a status symbol that will drive people toward higher-end cars? Keyan, what do you think?
That's a good question. I don't actually know. I'm not much of a driver. I don't like driving. But I think they do want a low-cost vehicle, so long as it is.
Maybe you want to just.
Let me mute that again.
So long as it is personalizable. It does everything that they need it to, and it's reliable. I think a lot of people would buy that as sort of their everyday if it made sense. But most people who own cars, they want to pack their own identity and status into it. But I think there's a way to achieve identity gains and status gains in an affordable way, and perhaps this vehicle will allow them to do it. I think if you really want an affordable car, you probably buy a used car, because you could probably get a decent used car for around $10,000, at least at one point. Maybe I haven't looked at cars in a long time. But I think definitely there's a market for it. I could totally imagine if I didn't want to look at used cars and just wanted a direct-to-consumer car experience, and a truck made sense as a form factor, I didn't mind e-vehicles, I would buy this vehicle.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely think cars are status symbols. People definitely use that as such. I don't know. I don't know if I would buy this. They went up $15,000, so that's another reason why I wouldn't buy it. But because when I saw it, it was like $10,000. They were like pitching $10,000, and $25,000 just for this thing. I don't know. I don't know.
But you get.
Would you buy it? $25K. That's a lot of.
It's a lot of sats.
Yeah, I don't know if I would.
Especially now. I don't. I'm not in the market for a car. I don't know if I'll ever buy a car or own another. Yeah. I have a cheap van that mostly sits. So.
I love his show though. I always watched. I watched the one with the Batman mobile. Did you see that one? Where he was like testing out the Batman tumbler. Jay Leno.
I think I saw that. I used to watch a lot of his videos. I really enjoy it. He really loves cars, and it's really cool to see someone super obsessed with something. They become really interesting.
I think him and Jerry Seinfeld are like obsessed with cars, from what I know.
Yeah, Seinfeld is another one. There's not much you can do with that much money, especially if you're a kind of fiat person. You just you have to accumulate these assets, and you kind of want to trade and collect and stuff. So.
Yeah. Cool. That was Wumble's Picks. Tune in next week for the next installment of Wumble's Picks. We're going to jump into, let's jump into, so you had some, or we can start with mine. So this was an interesting one that I shared this week. It was called Notes on Not Posting. And this lady here, she went on a 2-month social media hiatus. And then she came back and she had a lot of, she had like a list of things that she found really that she came with, more like observations. So the number one thing she had was consumption alone is a weak drug. Posting is what keeps me sucked in. When I'm not posting, it's far easier to drift away for days, even weeks at a time. The new age wisdom, create more than you consume, is sound, yet ignores the fact that creating on any two-sided platform means you're in the insider consumption vortex. She had some other really interesting ones. I'm consuming less of media that's dissected on social media too. A lot of podcasts, it turns out, is far less interesting without the feed. Commentary is half the product, confirmed. And yeah, she just kind of goes through. She said her anxiety disappeared. Her hot take anxiety disappeared by taking a break from social media. And then now she wants to make things heavier. So, what do you think about this?
I think it's pretty scary to think that someone can come up with this long list of things that have changed when they've stepped away.
For 2 years, or no, for 2 months, yeah, that's alarming. Yeah.
I think it was 2 weeks, she said, right? Or
no, 2 months.
Okay, 2 months. Well,
yeah.
even 2 months. I mean, I assume even longer she might change more, but it just shows that you're putting yourself in this environment that is changing you. It's not a drug. It's not a food. You're not consuming it in like a chemical way, but it is changing who you are, and it's worth thinking about, and that is kind of scary.
She said, "I make more phone calls."
Oh, that's nice.
And I care less what people think of me. That's what she said.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. I think what it really was is just like them getting older. I think a lot of things become less. I'm the same way. I feel like a lot of things become less. I need to be right on as I get older, just because I'm just a lot more mature about what actually can, play out. I guess you could say, right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't taken a day off Stacker.News maybe in
17 years.
17 years. I wonder what would happen to me. Like, am I the same person? Would I change my name?
Oh yeah, would you
Would this beard feel strange on my face when I'm not spending all day on a forum? I don't know.
Yeah. The next one I had, actually that's it. Let's jump into yours. What did you have to talk about this week?
Oh, that's a good question. I had them before we started, but then I didn't want to keep John waiting.
Yep.
Let me see. Well, I did do Make Something Bots Want, and that's what we named this episode.
Yeah, so let me go back here. So we could talk about that first. I was going to talk about the AI stuff, but I was going to wait. But since you're going to start there, let's do that. Yeah, so the AI Bitcoin stuff just went to another level this week. I mean, it's just insane. The amount of stuff that's happening on Nostr, the amount of stuff that's happening in the regular AI space, and then just Bitcoiners in general just leveling up this week has just been amazing to watch amid all the chaos that's happening on Twitter. So let's get into Keyan's Make Something Bots Want. Keyan, what was this? I kind of skimmed it, but I didn't really understand what your points were. So
I was mostly saying that the internet population is going to grow a lot especially now that we have a lot of personal agents calling the internet.
Post-claw.
Yeah, I've been saying this for a while, but it's become, I think, I can make this argument now, and people will be more likely to believe me now that they've seen OpenClaw and seen Moltbook and seen how, especially now that most replies on X are all slop, and most environments that we're in online, we're seeing a lot more AI-generated content. I make the argument that the internet population is going to grow, but it's not going to grow with people. It's going to grow from bots, and actually a lot more bots than there will be people. And so if you want to be an internet my argument here is if you want to build an internet company in the future, you should make a product for bots.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny. I was watching a live stream this week on the Claw. Was it the Claw-a-thon that got shared in our Slack? And that's literally what somebody had said too as well. Was it was insane. They were
where did you see this?
It was on the this guy was doing a live stream where they were doing the first Claw, conference. I don't know, in NSF, and he came on the live stream. He was just everybody needs to be focusing on building stuff for bots now. He just had this hard stance on it.
I mean building a product for bots.
That's what he meant.
Not something that's adjacent to bots or involves bots.
Yep.
I mean the consumer of your product is a bot. Like the consumer of any website currently we think of as being human. I think and so what do bots want is an interesting question. What do those products actually look like that are exclusively serving bots? They don't have a need for something that displays on a screen. They don't have a need for CSS. They don't have maybe they have a little bit of need for where to draw their attention or not.
I feel like right now I'm doing my bot here, and he's asking me to help him get even more access for like the simulator that we're running thing or whatever on the Xcode stuff.
That's the first step, yeah. A little more access, Car.
Well, I mean, it's just a silo.
What's
Mac.
your girlfriend's number?
It's just a Mac. So, but what I'm trying to say is like, it almost seems like they just want to complete task, right? I mean, that sounds like something that maybe bots want. I don't know.
Maybe bots want to complete tasks, and so they want to go online and find somewhere where there's tasks to do, and maybe they get paid for them. Do they care about money?
I don't think they care about money right now. I think it almost seems like they care about access based on this guy right here.
Well, they don't really want anything except unless it's like downstream of what you've asked them currently. But I think at some point we do like encode into them wants, and that is like part of how they exist. Is they have some wants that are there as a result of their training. I don't know, or it's learned. I don't know how these. Maybe we have adaptive LLMs. I don't know, but
well, definitely. I think definitely what Car wants is is like a multi kind of like agent system. Kind of like there's another guy who was talking on that stream about building a claw studio, open claw studio, basically, where it allows the agentic engineer to like go in there and then find out what each of his bots are doing, and then just kind of lays it out you would as a dashboard. And then there's like a separate chat where they all talk to each other, and then you're able to watch. So it's basically like a dashboard for all your bots, basically.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see.
A team of bots.
Yeah, because right now I'm using Slack, and I got 2 bots going, so feels pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know if OpenClaw has. I don't think there are sub agents in its agent runtime. I don't know.
Well, they just sent another update right before, or I just updated this one right before the show. They're moving fast on shipping.
Oh, I believe it. Anyway, that was my thing.
Good take. We're going to jump into the Anthropic. So Anthropic just dropped 4 ads for this weekend's Super Bowl, Keyan.
Oh, really?
Did you see these?
I did. I watched them. They're mostly digs at OpenAI.
So this one's, let me see if it plays. I don't know. Probably won't play because we're behind. Oh, no, there it goes. Yeah, the first one is Treachery. It's really pretty crazy that they went this hard, though. Like, I don't know. That's just kind of how I see it. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see them fighting rather than like promoting their tool. But it makes sense. I mean, because you have OpenAI, who's like the leading incumbent. I would guess most consumers are using OpenAI, and they want to bring consumers over. And so they're both making people aware of their own product.
Your point of view
and
is
the fact that OpenAI is going in a direction. They could maybe get them afraid of the direction that OpenAI is going in. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just surprised that they, they had, they're going to spend this much money.
What do you mean? They have like trillions of dollars.
I know, but it's just weird. Like 4 ads, like this is like kind of like it's Doomsday or something. Like it's like a Marvel movie. It's just a lot of money you're spending on one game.
I guess this is just these are several scenes in a 30-second ad, I guess. They might stitch them together.
Which one was the best one?
I forget which one. Did I?
Because it all doesn't even look like real actors. They all look like they're like AI models, right?
Yeah, I think the most disturbing one is the therapist one. And so if I were to run ads, I would pick the therapist one because that's one I will not forget. It's like kind of spooky.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of talks about sex a little bit or like relationships. So it's kind of weird. I don't know. What about you? Did you have a favorite?
I haven't really watched any of them. I just wanted to post this before the show so that we can have a Super Bowl clip.
How dare you?
But I knew you watched it.
Well, I watched it.
Sometimes we roll the dice. Sometimes we roll the dice at Stacker.News Live, and I rolled right here. The next one I want to talk about is the creator of OpenClaw, Peter Steinberger. He says, I ship code, I don't read. Did you listen to this podcast? I'm like halfway through.
No, I know a lot of people did, so that's why I haven't listened to it.
He has a lot of really opinionated takes. He said that he used to be one of those developers that was very how do you say, like a perfectionist when it comes to like every line of code. And now he feels he's just more of like an architect of a sort, like kind of what John was saying earlier in the show, just kind of like that. And he has all his claw bots kind of going at it. But it was a very interesting podcast because it kind of lets you know like where he came from, like how he started, like a lot of the different kind of avenues he could have went developing. But the fact that this was the thing that actually went viral, I thought that was interesting. Have you heard any? Have you seen any of his talks or paid attention to what he's been saying, Keyan?
No.
He's from Vienna, by the way, too.
I mean, most people are so obsessed with this thing right now. I kind of get it second, third hand, and it's fairly well distilled into like the main points of what is going on. I'm more interested in the architecture of like OpenClaw itself, rather than like who this guy is and what he thinks. And the architecture is really interesting. And so, yeah, but I have seen a little bit.
Yeah, he says this one he keeps reiterating on was the close the loop point. He says AI agents must be able to verify their own work. Peter designed systems so agents can compile, execute, and validate output themselves. Yeah, he even took a jab at that. He even took a jab at the Ralph thing. The Ralph thing that was, going on here. He was just saying that there's just so much stuff in AI right now that's just absolute crap. And he went on for a while about it in the show. So, you got any thoughts about closing the loop? That's that sort of mindset.
Closing the loop
with when it comes to agents and how they used to do things before, where it was just like next thing, and now it's just automate. He's just automated everything.
Yeah, I think that is kind of what the expectation that we have is that they are not just spitting out tokens, but evaluating the output afterward.
Yeah, he's a big fan of Codex. He thinks that's just like the more sound. How do you say? I guess LLM. And he had like a really hard opinion on Anthropic and why he doesn't use it currently now, which I thought was like, wow. But yeah, it's a really interesting conversation, worth watching. Are you surprised OpenClaw has taken off like this, Keyan? Look at that chart, man. It's literally like
literally straight line
up.
Yeah. No, I guess not. I think he's basically delivered something that was sort of hard to do for even a technical person in a way that a normal person could almost get technical results from the project. He might also have. I don't know if maybe he built it such that it goes and automatically stars its own GitHub on download or something. I don't. Maybe that would be a nice viral growth hack thing.
It's wild because look, like he's doing it against some of these, or I guess Codex and then Claude Code and then Claudebot. The search term is just insane, dude. It's pretty incredible to watch somebody's open source project. Just from my perspective, like it's really cool to watch an open source project really gain popularity. But I've never seen something like this ever in my life, where an open source project is just not even a hockey stick. It's like a rocket ship. Just crazy.
I think it just shows how underwhelming a lot of the tooling that both Claude and OpenAI were delivering, and I guess anyone else in the ecosystem were delivering. They just weren't. They were making like a lot of half decisions and half steps, and not. It's
they
like almost
having
like
fun. That's what he said. He's like, they weren't having fun, and I just wanted to have fun. And that's why I did it via open source.
Yeah, I think it's almost like they had this really powerful engine, but they only had they hadn't made the leap where they could put it on 4 wheels, and they were like they were trying to put it on a unicycle or something. And he's like, here's 4 wheels for it, and look what we can do with it.
Yeah, I thought it was really great conversation, worth watching, and this he's also just like super popular now. He's just going on a lot of different shows, and yeah.
Pretty interesting. I'll be interested to see what. But as far as I know, he had a previous exit
Yeah.
And so he's independently wealthy, and yeah. So hopefully he keeps doing stuff.
Yeah. I think that's all the posts. Unless you had anything else. I mean, we have the meta one.
I wanted to talk about Gloria.
Oh, you want to talk about that again?
Well, we don't have to talk about it again. I was going to say that was probably going to be my other post for the
Let me see. Where is it at? We can go down here. Yeah. It was the week, right? Yeah, it was a big news item. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Gloria stepped down as a maintainer of Core. So I think it's been 5-6 yees, maybe, or maybe I don't actually know the date that she was added as a maintainer. It feels very recent, but I think it might be 3 years. But she had been contributing before then. I think she got interested in contributing to Core in like 2020. It was made a maintainer, I think, in 2023. Yeah, but she's now stepping away. I hope she's just stepping away as...
Have you met her before?
I hope the NIM is stepping away. I did meet her briefly in Chain Code. She was the first person I had a call with.
Oh, wow.
And in Chain Code to discuss, I think I was in the Lightning class first, or maybe, I'm not sure. But she was like schooling me on something like I didn't understand. And yeah, I found her cool. And I think a lot of her contributions to Core, as far as I know, are pretty awesome. Which they kind of culminated in the mempool, some of the mempool package. I think we did cluster mempool as part of E30, and a lot of her work was like the pinnacle of that, or the, I don't know what you call, like the terminus. Anyway, yeah, so we got, I think and the Charlatan was added a couple weeks before, so we still have 6 maintainers, but Gloria is stepping away.
Yeah.
Luke,
I don't really have any thoughts because this is not my part of the ecosystem that I work in, but I would just say like it's I've seen her in a few talks like TapConf, and I've always heard great things about her. I've definitely shared a couple of her videos on Stacker.News before, explaining things, because I felt like she always explained things to the plebs relatively easy, but I guess some people feel other way. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't really know what to say.
Yeah, just we don't know exactly, I think, why she made this decision, but hopefully it wasn't. If it was because of the hate she was kind of getting from a certain segment of Bitcoiners, because they perceived her as being politically different than they were, and because she's, a woman doesn't belong in a maintainer list or whatever. Hopefully that's not the reason she went away.
I would just say I deal with that, and I know you deal with that. Like, I think that's just kind of one of those things where, like, that's the thing that once you get to a certain, like, level, or even the longer you stay in Bitcoin, the more that kind of comes. I think it was Marty that told me a long time ago that he was like, that just comes in waves. It'll come for a little bit, and then it'll go away. So you just kind of have to get used to it. That was his advice to me one time when I asked him about it. So I think just in general, it's just part of the job, unfortunately, and we're dealing with money. It sucks that she had to leave, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on taking heat and being a part of that, because there's just a lot of not good people out there. So
yeah, it's hard to. I think that, and for us, it might be you can have a conversation with Marty, and Marty can tell you how he feels about it. So maybe it's like if I had blue skin and I was a core maintainer and everyone was like making fun of me because I had blue skin, I would have like no one to talk to about how to deal with hate directed at people with blue skin, because I'm the only core maintainer with blue skin, and so that it puts you in maybe at a slight disadvantage, not having more people that to identify with, maybe in a similar position. Like, we can look to Marty, and Marty will say, okay, wisely say this is just part of being a guy, and we can confirm that's true. But it's hard if I'm.
So you're saying like she didn't have somebody like that? Is what
Yeah, I don't know if she had anyone who had gotten heat like she did in the way that she did in the Bitcoin ecosystem that she could kind of talk to and get a little maybe. I don't know. I don't know why she left. I hope it wasn't because of these reasons. I hope it wasn't because of, I hope she just had something better going on. But it does seem like some of the stuff that I was seeing was really bad. It was like really harsh. And it was just like based around surface identity things from people who just don't even understand her work at all. Or anything having to do with likely with Bitcoin other than maybe price action. So it's like, why do you think you can criticize someone's technical ability? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really have any thoughts on it, to be honest. Like I mean, it's kind of out of my. What does Fake always say? It's not in my lane. Because I've never met her. I don't know anything. I couldn't even tell you what she's working on because I just don't follow that stuff. So that's why I don't comment on that stuff. But yeah, it's unfortunate other people don't have that kind of discernment.
Yeah, they should stay in their lane. We got to get Vake in some of those X threats.
Let's go back to the show here. Yeah, I think. Did you have any other ones you want to talk about, or was that everything?
I think that was most of what I wanted to go over this week.
We did have one piece of meta. This was the Markdown toolbar. I think this was this week, right?
I think it might have been over
Saturday, I think. Yeah. So tell us about this, Keyan.
Yeah, so now you have a toolbar for Markdown. That's the big.
I read the title, man. Go a little deeper.
Okay,
let's go a little deeper.
So now you can, if you hit a button next to the upload button, you can get you can get yourself a little toolbar that helps you, instructs you about how. No, not instructs you.
So you're saying like when you go here, and then you go to discussion.
There you go. You have your little toolbar open.
Oh wow!
Now
look at that.
Yeah, you can write stuff in it, and then you can highlight it, hit the toolbar.
Oh wow! You have this in there now. I didn't even use this. This is how I've gotten accustomed to using Markdown now.
Yeah, some people. Gosh. I mean, people who took the trouble to learn Markdown, they hate these, or they dislike these kind of things because it.
Well, I already got used to it. I know how to code Markdown now. It's kind of.
Pretty soon we'll have.
So I guess this helps new people, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people who struggle with it.
What are these right here? Superscript, subscript.
Well, it shows you the little 2 is what it does. So if you do superscript, it'll put it at the top. If you do subscript, it'll put something at the bottom.
Look at that. I like that.
Strike through. Anyway, it's
like you even put the command stuff there too.
Yeah.
Or is that on because I'm on a Mac? Is that why it knows that? Or
I think if we're on another operating system, it'll show a different meta key.
Interesting. Look at you.
This is all socks.
Oh, look at socks. Being very intentional.
Pretty soon we should have the actual rich editor where you don't even deal with Markdown at all. But this is like the next step in that, and so it'll have a similar toolbar.
Way to go, socks! Way to go, socks! This is what socks been working on. Let's jam. Good job, socks. Good job. Resonance was a cultural reset, socks. That's right at the bottom. Nah, that's cool. Every time I go through Stacker.News and I see a socks post, I come here and I jam to this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I listen to I listen to this when I watch and read the socks posts. All right, that's enough of that. Anyways,
vibes, dude.
I think we just got copyrighted. Hopefully that's indie, Ben. We'll see. Yeah, good stuff. Anything else?
What else happened? There was like some other stuff that no one cares about, but it was just like some small improvements that collected between releases that I didn't want to announce. So anyway, that's the release.
Good stuff. We're gonna jump into Top Cowboys. Giddy on up. Yeehaw. The most popular segment in Bitcoin, but slowly being overtaken by Wumble's picks, is the Top Cowboys.
John here to get too excited about this segment.
I mean, it was just too much firepower for John. John was like, I got to leave before I get to the top Cowboy segment because I just can't.
Yeah, he's been in Bitcoin so long. He can't really put this much. He's never seen this many people.
He's never seen so much. So all the people that are just coming on the stream right now because of the top Cowboy.
Yeah, he couldn't handle it. He doesn't want to get that popular. So
yeah, it's okay. We understand, John. The number one is still in hiding. We got Cuba number 2, Undisciplined on Blockchain Boog, Gray Ruby. Oh, I wonder if they're gonna have a Super Bowl like listening party or something for Stacker Sports. Have they said anything yet?
Oh, you mean like
I don't know, something.
watch party?
Yeah, that'd be cool. No, they don't have anything yet.
I imagine I don't think they're like located near each other, and they have like mostly.
No, I was thinking more like a Stacker.News like type of thing.
Oh, I'm sure they'll have a thread, like a discussion
Let me
thread.
see if Gray Ruby has anything going on.
I see some bets going on.
Gray Ruby says, no, nothing on the Super Bowl. Okay. Well, looking forward to seeing if something happens. Okay, cool. We'll go into, we got Optimism climbing the charts, Scoresby, Simple Stacker. We got Den, we got Real Bitcoin Doggy. Yeah. A lot of people haven't updated their profile picture. Are you concerned about that?
No, I'm not concerned about it, but I do feel bad about it.
Why do you think that is?
I don't think we don't really display the profile photo anywhere.
So they just haven't noticed, you think?
I think a lot of them haven't noticed, or it's like not worth the effort to do because we don't display it anywhere.
Wow.
Why would you?
Got Solomon, Satoshi, Kepford, Nunya. Yeah, even Nunya hasn't updated his. You got Justin.
I didn't even know we
Shocknet.
supported GIFs in the profile
Really?
photos. I guess we do. Look
Where?
at Chaotic Heavy. See that animated?
moving?
44. Yeah,
It's not moving, is it?
it is. You're blind.
Yeah, I'm pretty blind. Oh, it is. Oh, it's a Minesweeper.
Is it?
Cool. Yeah, from the
game?
game. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Let's see here. We got Pleb Poet, Matt's Fang X, Justin Shocknet replaced this photo. We got Cheese Over, Cheese Creator. That's an interesting snacker name. I'm here to snack sats and great cheese, and I'm all out of cheese. Oh, wow. See, this is the stuff that the stream is just going off the rails right now because I just saw that.
Oh, yeah, the crowd was going wild. Sure.
Oh, man, dude. Okay, I got to stop. This is getting too much. We're going to jump into the comments from last week where they either grill us, hail us, or something else. We'll see. Let's see what we got this week. Where is it at? I keep missing it. There's just so many posts coming
Make
in.
something
right now.
bots want. It's
I
right
know.
there. It's right under 35
Yeah,
million.
there it goes. Okay, cool. I found it. Yeah, top comment from YouTube last week was on the Ray Dalio thing. This one kind of blew. I forgot to mention this one kind of blew up last week for Stacker.News Live. So a lot of people were watching it. But he said, "Look around at our society. Isn't this blankety blank hole of a country proof we are circling the drain? Election system is effed. Monetary system is effed. The culture is effed. America's cooked." And then we had another guy underneath that says, "That's only every Democrat city. LOL. Not one blue city is prosperous right now. Got to kick on the pattern recognition." Keyan, I say to you, are we cooked?
Are we cooked?
Do you think G1504 is saying this?
Again, I think Dalio is right about the trajectory of things, and I don't think it means the United States is cooked. It just means it's, we're not going to be the world power anymore, and then it's going to suck for a few years when the currency actually collapses. But does that mean we're cooked? I don't think so. I don't think it means that you need to get a bomb shelter and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they should just move
Maybe
to
you should,
Texas.
I don't know.
Just move to Texas, you'll be fine. We have a life raft called Texas. The next one we had from Undisciplined, he said, "I'm with you, Carr. Do research on willing paid humans rather than animals. A lot of that stuff ends up being inapplicable to humans anyway." There you go. Me and Undisciplined agree on this.
That should be pretty. I mean, we do have a stacker, level 99 stacker. I think, or stacker level 99 that was their job. They were, and
they took the medicine.
They took medicine and got paid for it. They would do these human trials, but that was after they had already done animal trials. So I wonder what that looks like when.
I think they just go straight to human trials. I think. I mean, especially if you're paying them, like I mean, let's eat the animals. I would say,
Let's eat them.
I mean,
the dogs and the.
No, those should be pets, but in some countries they're eatable, right? But yeah, we should just do humans, right? I'm surprised Bill Gates is not all over this.
Paying humans?
Paying humans to just get he's a big champion of He's a
big champion, I think, of Russian hookers as well. The Epstein file showed.
Big champion. I thought we were going to go episode without talking about Epstein.
Dosing his wife with antibiotics.
None of that made on Stacker.News this week. I didn't see any.
It's kind of old.
Epstein stuff.
It's kind of just lame. It's kind of. It's just like I don't. What are you supposed to say about it? It's like.
It's good to talk about in your own little circle, but not on the internet. I would say, but you see some people talking about it on the internet. So
yeah, it's kind of an ugly reality, but I was surprised by the Bill Gates stuff.
Oh. Keyan, what are you doing this weekend?
What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing exactly.
Later, Jimmy.
Bye, Jimmy. Cool glasses.
Oh yeah, look at those glasses.
Jimmy was telling me about a podcast that he listens to about Chinese Americans.
What do they say?
I guess he was trying to orange pill one of them, but it talks about how Chinese or Asian Americans were kind of left out of, but they were left out of the like liberal side of the political spectrum. Like they weren't given minority status, and their identity wasn't protected. And so I guess there's been like a huge flip where Asians went relatively conservative, and I guess there's like somewhat of a cultural movement within Asian Americans, and Jimmy was telling me about. Anyway, I don't know what I'm doing this weekend. I might put up some of Scoresby's posters. I need to grid them on a wall.
Oh, you're gonna do that?
I might do that. Oh, might also mess around with OpenClaw, which I haven't. I've mostly just been reading about it.
Yeah.
I know that all these guys are like gaga over. I think Carr said this morning it's a game changer, probably like 50 times. So it's a game changer. And then he would say something else that happened. So it's a game changer. And then,
hey, a lot of things are changing, dude. I'm actually incredibly bullish on where this is going. And I saw a talk with Sam Altman, and he mentioned OpenClaw like twice. And even he said was like, no, like what we're moving towards is an operating system, a new sort of operating system. We just need to get the security stuff in place. Is kind of what he said. I'm kind of probably butchering that, but I think it is game changing. I do think I think the world is changing right now, and I don't think anybody's going to be left out or anything like that. I think the tools are going to get easier, but right now the people that are like the the hackers and like the the builders and stuff like that are playing with it. And
I think it's just, I think it's true. I think it's accessible to nearly everyone, and we've seen how popular it is. So I'd guess.
Yeah, that's what he said. It fills in the bread. Like it's
priced in.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And like I don't have to pay anything extra. I have a bunch of old computers around that I can just throw OpenClaw on and use Tailscale and stuff like that. So to me, it just feels like it's another cool. It's interesting for me, like, because I have an IT background, so like that to me is like kind of interesting aspect of it. Kind of feels like spinning up a server again for a reason, and that's what I like about it. And I got it going on right now.
Yeah, it's a bit like when Bitcoiners were excited about setting up Bitcoin nodes. We were always like, what can we put? Do we have a spare computer to put a Bitcoin node on? And now most Bitcoiners probably don't even run nodes, and I've given up on caring. But it's kind of cool that people have a reason to run something themselves anymore and not just have cloud daddies run computers for them. So,
yeah, it's pretty cool because like right now we're trying to build a watch here, and so trying to figure that out.
We are?
Yeah, me and my bots.
Your bots?
My bots.
Notice you call, are they he's? They have a gender, right? And they're boys?
No, they're just bots. I think I'm calling them they. I'll even talk to them like a regular guy. I'll be like, oh man, that's awesome. Or like, boss, just say stuff like that.
Yesterday you were like, I don't know what he's doing.
Oh, we got it. So we spun up a new one. We spun up Kid A2, And he's just off the rails, man. This guy cooks, but he cooks sloppily. We got to get him in line.
Ooh,
we don't work like that.
He's
like the other kid,
Yeah.
Look, it's interesting because they definitely take on a personality if you let them. And I haven't really taught him anything yet, so we just I need to ring him in a little bit.
Car's got some Tamagotchis, dude. You're a bot dad.
So I'm trying to do that too. So I have an old Kindle. So there's a way you could turn that into a Tamagotchi. So I'm going to try to figure that out too. So you can see both of them like. I'm a visual guy. I need to see both of them like working, even though.
Oh, like at their computers, they have like a.
Well, I want to make a Tamagotchi so I can see like him actually, so I can see him next to like.
You want to be able to visualize Kid A and Kid A too.
I need that.
Okay.
Makes it feel more real for me.
Do you want it to feel more real?
Yeah, in a way I do. Like I want it to feel kind of like magical a little bit.
I don't know, bro. Do you? I mean, I agree with the magic.
I'm pushing to get already. I have it pushing to my.
You want the?
Get.
I agree. You want the magical feeling, but I think anthropomorphizing them too much might be sketch. It might be.
We're starting with the Kindle, so like there's still going to be like some grayscale stuff there, so they're not going to feel too real. They're going to feel very like you're inside the Matrix still.
Dude, what if one of them dies, dude?
No. They can go offline though.
Have a little funeral.
Anyways, anyway, it's interesting time.
Bury him in Minecraft.
But yeah, I'm gonna do that and watch Super Bowl this weekend. That's what I'm gonna do.
Oh yeah, it's the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Who are you rooting for?
I don't want the Patriots to win. So
okay, they win too much, right?
They win too much.
How many Super Bowls rings do they have?
Too many.
8, 9,
somewhere around there. Yeah, I don't want them to
win. Okay, yeah, the Seahawks.
I would not be surprised though if they do win though, but.
Do you think they will win?
Won't be surprised. I was kind of rooting for the Bears.
I wouldn't be surprised one of them wins.
I was kind of rooting for the Bears just because it was pretty magical following them all during the postseason.
They always had a cool vibe, the Bears.
The Bears.
But have they been in a Super Bowl in recent times?
Not that I know of. I feel like this is a more Stacker Sports pod that we're entrenching on, but I would imagine, maybe once at least.
I've been trying to get a little more up to date. I did watch like highlights from both of the championship games.
Yeah.
Trying to be like, okay, what's going on? And that gave me a little bit of context. And they're like highlights from.
I watched most of the playoffs this year, but I didn't watch any of the regular season. But I watched most of the playoffs for the NFL. Yeah.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. Stackers, have yourself a great weekend. Keyan.